Okay, so you've probably had a lot of time to read the screen. This will be an introduction to Android Stalkerware, and my name is Jess. Contrary to my Twitter, it's Jess, not Jessica. So yeah, just a quick who am I? I'm a fourth year at Amery University in Dundee. I'm on their ethical hacking programme up there, if you've not heard of that. And I'm going to be the 2019-2020 president of our society as well. I'm quite into Android malware analysis. I basically didn't like the Android platform and people kept asking me why. So now suddenly Android has become my thing, so to speak. And I don't quite know how that's happened, but we're going to go with it. So just a quick disclaimer here, the apps that I'm going to talk about, some of the slides have been obfuscated. I don't want to advertise any of these products as some of them are live. And during the analysis, I did find some security vulnerabilities in there, which could endanger the privacy of the victims. And as you can imagine, this is quite a touchy subject. So just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to start with a wee background to the subject and then go on to a little what is, and then some functionality, some legality, and some countermeasures. So some people might be asking, why is this specifically Android and not iOS based? Android makes up over 85% of the mobile market, so I targeted this analysis towards Android. So this is just a few tools that I used. We've got Mara up there, which is the mobile analysis and reverse engineering framework. So it puts together a lot of commonly used tools into one easily accessible kind of bundle. It's on GitHub, it's open source, it's got some APK deobfuscation in there, some APK analysis, some security analysis, and you can also do some analysis of the manifest file as well. We've got TrueSeeing. TrueSeeing is a vulnerability scanner for Android applications, and it outputs all the findings to a HTML document, so really easy to use again. Droidbox is a dynamic analysis tool as well. We've got VirusTotal up there and some hybrid analysis as well. So what is Stalkerware? So the long and the short is Stalkerware is consumer-based spyware. It offers accessible, more often than not, low-cost solutions to monitor our loved ones. It targets the kind of darkest areas of human nature and makes some profit off of that. And it usually comes under kind of 3 categories. So usually it'll be branded towards spouses, children, and employees. So we've just got some example branding up on the board there. So as you can see, you've got your parental control for your children, your employee monitoring, and your catching your cheating spouse. So functionality. These applications, they tend to consist of 2 applications, the attacker and the victim. So the attacker requires physical access to the phone, and they install an application, and on installation, that application is then hidden as they call it a system service. So it doesn't appear anywhere. It's basically invisible to the naked eye. They operate through using highly invasive permissions. They compromise session integrity using privilege escalation, and of the applications that I've analysed, I've found that they very much lack any secure transmission of data. So we're lacking TLS on that front as well. So the installation, as you can see there, this is a screenshot. As you can see, again, I've obfuscated this because I don't want to reveal what application this is from, but you have got the lack of the SSL certificate, so you're lacking your TLS. And Connection Buddy there, that appears to be the function that's linking the victim's device to the attacker's tracking application. So as you can imagine over there, you've got some secure data that you don't want to be leaked. So for one, you don't want to be using these applications anyway, but to be using them and then to be forfeiting that data and to be just having it submitted in plain text kind of, again, increases the risk of using them. So this is just a few of the permissions that I found to be probably the most highly invasive. Some of the applications that were analysed, they had over 40 permissions that they were taking, between 40 and 50 permissions. That's not uncommon. So you can see the scale of the problem that we're dealing with here. You have applications that are able to record your audio. You have applications that can access your camera. You have applications that can see both your exact and your rough GPS location. If that gets into the wrong hands, this data, you can see that we're onto a massive problem here. So following on from this, we've got the legality of these applications. These are out in the open. These are easy to download online. They're very accessible. Again, they're low cost. And during 2018, Ross Cairns was convicted of stalking charges in regard to his use of these stalking apps on his partner's devices, and he was convicted of stalking charges. So these apps are being used in real life trials, and of the applications that were used, they all contain disclaimers basically saying that when using these applications, you're using them at your own will. You're using them in regard to the legislation in your geographical area. So as you can see, the legality that I've looked at is obviously the United Kingdom. So we've got protection from harassment there. You've got you can't interfere with any person's property, and by installing these applications, you're taking someone's physical device, you're unlocking it, whether it's got a PIN code or not. You're gaining access to that, and you're then interfering with that property further by installing the application. You've also got your Computer Misuse Act. You've got unauthorised access, which would be your first crime, and your second crime would be your unauthorised access to commit a further crime. So some countermeasures. We must do better surrounding this subject. There has been lots done to raise awareness. Some of you might have seen Keane's talk earlier. He touched on this as well, but we must do better. I'm sure we're surrounded by security professionals here, but it's very common for us to share our PIN codes, our passwords with a partner. That's maybe for us, that's not normal, but for other people, that is seen to be very normal. So we must encourage people and tell them that there's no point in having a PIN code on your phone if you're going to tell it to 20 people. Despite the fact that's your partner, you've got to keep that to yourself, and that's the best that you can do. But we've got other solutions as well, because obviously that's not a one-size-fits-all. Google announced this year that as part of their Q operating system, they've got plans to introduce a new security feature under their settings. So a user can go in and they can see which application has specific permissions, and they'll be flagged. They'll be flagged if they're seen to be invasive, and you can automatically just go into that and undownload it, as opposed to sitting there and going through your applications or trying to find a hidden service that's on your phone. You're going to be a bit stuck. So that's definitely Google are in the right mind, and they're going about that. We've also got antivirus companies. Kaspersky have recently started blacklisting your Stalkerware, and they display an unmistakable privacy alert if they deem something to be invasive. But again, this isn't a one-size-fits-all. During analysis, we found that certificates were being reused. So these companies, they're releasing an application, it might get pulled down by an antivirus company, it might get flagged up, and they just release another one. They'll reuse their certificates, and you can see it's the same companies that are doing it over and over and over again. It's a problem, but in flagging it, we've just got to make sure that as security professionals as well, we're raising this. If we see this, we bring it up and we challenge it, right? But yeah, this was, I know it was quite a quick whistle-stop tour, but has anyone got any questions? Yeah?
you need a separate user setup so that your kid or your wife could use the device under a separate profile, and then it can go straight into kid mode. And then when you're watching Ben and Holly, then it's all in a secure version of the app, rather than having it on a separate one for you're using it for infosec purposes or whatever.
Yeah.
Surely that's the best way to solve or one of the better way to solve the problem than sharing the PIN code or sharing the pattern on the screen. Yeah,
totally. We need to make sure that people are aware of the different options that you have to protect your children, to protect your loved ones, to make sure that you can shelter them, because, like you said, loads of companies have got children modes and they've got options available that make sure that this is there and then. But what this problem is people who are installing applications on their children's devices to not necessarily, well, it is to spy on them, but I think these companies are very aware of the branding that they use. They target parents and they hit them right in the heart, and they say, I want you to install this because this is the only thing that's going to protect your child. And you're right, we do have other options out there, but right now people are looking towards this, and it's a problem because you're then looking at very secure data such as your children, your loved ones, people who could be potentially in abusive relationships. That information could get leaked. So although you do have those children options in specific applications, we're looking at a whole device kind of setting, and we're looking at these applications that brand themselves to parents as a one shoe fits all solution.
Hi, thank you first of all for doing this talk. It's really important, and it's brilliantly put, so well done. The question I had was how you mentioned sort of whistleblowing and calling things out, and kind of how would you, apart from that, which is obviously a major part of that, when we're kind of part of organisations that are creating products like this or enabling it, how else could we as a security sector, do you think, improve on this and improve, because, I work within schools as well, so, the amount of RPACT and things that I see. So it's a real issue, like you say. So how could we do this and advise people more? Have you got any ideas on that?
I think it's a societal problem. We need to take on that burden. I think mostly, I think it comes down to education, but again, it's down to your providers, it's down to your operating systems. They need to be flagging this, and we need to be ensuring that these applications, they're put into Virus Total, they're put into blacklists, and that people are aware of them and people are aware that they are a problem, because quite often people will install this, and whether it's a parent, whether it's a partner, although they might be misguided, sometimes the intentions are there, but they just don't realise the threat that it's posing. So I don't know how much that answers your question, but I think it's a difficult answer to give, because I think it starts with the basics of education and then just see where we go from there.
One last question. Thanks for your presentation. It's excellent. And you purposefully obfuscated brand names and product names, which I understand. But do you have a feel for how many different apps are out there that perform this kind of a function?
I have personally looked in depth into probably about 15 to 20, but I know that's just the start of the problem. They're everywhere. If you go out to find them, you'll find them. So I've got 15 to 20 that I've looked in depth to, but that problem is not just stopping there. We've got probably in the region of a few folds plus that. But again, in this country, we are quite lucky because a lot of these applications, they might be available in different countries. They're available worldwide, and they brand themselves differently accordingly. So yeah, again, it's not probably the answer that you wanted, but put it this way, it's a problem that's on a large scale.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.